Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma with PJamma Life. No, that way, that way.
Oh, yes.
Wakanda forever. And welcome back to the show. And I'm PJamma, and I'll let the other two on the panel introduce themselves. David.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you here. Looking forward to talking about these wonderful shows on this gorgeous Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. It's Patrick. I'm just, like I said, like David, looking forward to talk about this for a little bit, and we'll move the heck on. There we go.
Hey, and we have some good ones today. We have What If, Zombies, Impeachment, American Crime Story. We have Reservation Dogs on FX, on Hulu, on FX, and we have the new movie Kate on Netflix. So let's see, what are we going to start with? Let's start with Kate on Netflix.
I haven't missed once in 12 years. I'm not gonna miss.
Woo! Tons of action for this week. I mean, here we go. Okay, why don't we start off with David?
Yeah, this was a fun movie for me. I love the fact that one, you get to see Woody Harrelson, which is awesome in anything, because I think it's a big win for me there. And I love the protagonist in this story. She's so much more than a pretty face. She shows a lot of range. I would not have thought, when I watched her as the villainess in Sky High so many years ago, I wasn't necessarily thinking that she could be this kind of an action hero. You did see her in the Tarantino movie from years ago, where they had one of those slasher kind of deals with, I think Kurt Russell was the villain. This was fun. I think it was kind of in that same mode as, say, Atomic Blonde, a good kind of kick butt kind of action adventure story. So I'm all there. 7, 8 out of 10. This was fun.
Yeah. Okay, Pat, what did you think?
It was interesting to see Ramona Flowers as a bad guy or a anti-hero. That's what I know her from. You guys talking about Sky High. I know her from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, that's where I knew her from.
And I was like, I was sitting there through the first 10 minutes going, God, I know this girl. Where do I know her from? I had to look it up, and I'm like, oh, hell, she's Ramona Flowers. She doesn't have purple hair. It threw me. We have kind of been on a little bit of a tear in the show about going through female assassins. We did, Gunpowder Milkshake, and we, some of these. And this was a little bit better than those, I would say. I mean, it had that same kind of stylistically homage to, the Quentin Tarantino films, to The Killer, several things, the way the action was built. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. I mean, I felt a little bit more connected to it than I did Gunpowder Milkshake, for an example. I mean, and I love Karen Gillan, and I felt a little bit more of an attachment to the characters in this one. So it was really good. I'd knock it a 7. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and I thought it was really good, because I'm always, a lot of these stories have a similar kind of theme and similar story, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for something innovative or something different that I haven't seen before. And so there were a couple action scenes that I was like, oh, snap. I've never seen this before. When she's in the Japanese dining room with the geisha and she does an action where she get rid of the person's hand on her hair. I was like, oh, I never seen that before. That was new. And so that I'm always like, once something unique like that happens, then I'm like, okay, I can settle in and you know, I can go for it. But I thought this was a lot of fun. It was some really great acting. The other scene I was surprised by was the main characters, the main villains, kind of love interest. I just thought that scene was like, wow, that was kind of that kind of threw my hair back. I really enjoyed it. But one thing I didn't like is you guys know this from me, when they stick a kid in the middle of this drama to try to give a woman, you know, like a mama bear kind of protective mode. And I didn't even want them to do that. The little girl who was the actress, she was really good. I didn't like all the cussing she did. I was kind of like, is this some coffee and Kareem mess? But you know, that scene with kids like cussing, and I don't really like that. But she was a good little actress, so I felt like she didn't even need to do all that. So I thought that kind of was a miss. It kind of knocked it down. So I would have given it like an 8.5, but then there was this kind of things going on. So I'm right with you guys at about a 7. I don't know if this is for kids. I mean, I kind of watched stuff like this when I was a kid, but I was a completely different kid. So, I mean, if you're sensitive and then don't want your kid going around saying F-bombs all over the place, you might not watch it. Right. But it really had a twisty kind of story at the end. I thought that was a real interesting take on it. So definitely check out Kate. I thought that was a really fun, good action, Saturday afternoon kind of action flick. You don't have to think too much about it. Just eat some popcorn, have a beer, have a good time with it. Okay, let's go on to our next, which is What If? Zombies.
Thanos is coming. He's coming. Hello? Anyone got any clothes? Oh, God. Whoa! How? I can't believe it. Don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me.
Hey, relax. I'm just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah? Well, then what the hell happened to the neighborhood?
Like too many great catastrophes, this one sprang from a place of love and hope. Alas, Hope Van Dyne's long-awaited family reunion was not to be.
Mom?
Hi, Miss Van Dyne.
New York, home of the Mets, the Chrysler Building, those ladies from Sex and the City, and now the zombie apocalypse! If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. But first, you have to not get eaten.
My culture, death is not the end. They are still with us, as long as we do not forget them.
Okay, Pat, why don't you, since you're the guru of Marvel, why don't you give us some insight into this in terms of the comics and what you thought of the episodes?
Well, I mean, it followed right along with the What If comics. I mean, you took a an outrageous situation, and you had a little twist at the end of it, like they did. I really liked it. It was kind of dark. I mean, there wasn't enough time spent on the zombie versions of people getting waxed. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I thought it was really good. Got to see some old characters you hadn't seen in a while. Some of the Ant-Man characters. But okay, if you haven't seen this, there's going to be a bit of a spoiler here. Turn your head, whatever you need to do. Oh my God, the Scott Lang Futurama head. I kept thinking it was Futurama. It was totally Futurama. He's walking around in a glass head like Richard Nixon did throughout all those series.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's who it was. I couldn't remember who had the glass head in Futurama, but yeah.
There was anybody from the past. They put him in a
right.
Head, but Richard Nixon was the big one that they kept bringing back series, episode after episode type of thing. It was really good. I mean, there's a lot of little interesting tidbits where people, went off on different little tangents, and you could see how, like in the trailer you just showed, about how good things come from, or bad things come from, really good intentions, and I thought that was interesting. So I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Oh, David, what you think?
I did enjoy it. The head. The Scott Lang head, that reminded me more of the Santa Clara Diet, a totally underappreciated show with Drew Barrymore as a zombie, turning into like a zombie kind of character. I applaud the creativity on this. I mean, the zombie genre is really at its high point, I think, with over the last few years. So I thought it was pretty creative. Excuse me, I too have a little bit of Sharon all over me. So
yeah.
I love that line. I thought the dialogue, the writing for this might have been the best of any of them because of the what ifs. Yeah, I just thought some of that lines with it for me, just because the level of absurdity for it. So I thought it was, I'm not into the zombie genre. But I thought this was really well done. I am a little surprised. I've never seen zombies that intelligent. I mean, now we're seeing, it's like, I don't think that Iron Man, now Captain America probably would be still super strong, but the ability to use like the shield and all of that business, I'm not seeing that.
But the Doctor Strange being able to do spells still, which was a learning experience. I was like, really, he's casting portal spells?
I don't see that myself. But I loved the closer. That was one of the more creative ways to end
absolutely.
With Thanos there, with the Infinity Stone, with the gauntlet. And again, these zombies are far more intelligent than the others. That's the only leap of this that I like. That was my least favorite aspect of it. But they've all been fun.
I disagree. I did not like it. Only because this is the zombie genre on steroids, right? And if I don't like zombies, I certainly don't like seeing the world's greatest heroes become zombies. I mean, I don't even like Will Smith becoming a zombie, let alone all this stuff. So I actually thought it was the weakest one, because just what you guys have said, that they would retain all of their intelligence and still be able to do the same superpowers that they did as a zombie, but everybody else is like, I mean, I was like, no, come on. And I was. The only thing that saved it was hearing Chadwick Boseman's voice one more time, and seeing Okoye come back. And but there was one person I couldn't figure out. There was a man who had kind of a Slavic accent.
That was the guy from Ant-Man. The one of the guys who was in Scott Lang's group. There was Scott Lang, obviously, and then there was the Slavic guy. Then there was the one who always did the narrations for like, hey, dude, let me tell you that's who that was.
Ooh, boy,
it took me a second.
That was
it took me a second, but him. Wasn't he in that DC? Wasn't he in the Suicide Squad?
No.
Did he play the guy that with all the little things that shot out and popped out? Wasn't that the Slavic guy?
He might have been the one that played
I
like
guess I haven't gotten that far.
Polka Dot Man. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, is
Maybe.
that Polka Dot Man?
I'd have to look.
Like
I'm not
it.
positive.
Huh. Okay. Oh. But I didn't so that kind of threw me because I was like, I kept doing the episode and I watched it now, guys. I did it justice. I watched it twice and I still didn't like it that much.
I mean, I'm not huge on the genre, but I thought the writing was creative for it.
I just didn't. I thought it was just kind of I just thought it was just kind of flat. And then there were certain things I just couldn't understand what they were doing. So it just still kind of left me confused.
Okay.
And then it was super dark too. So I was like, this one's a miss for me. But I get why people, if you're into that kind of stuff, that you would enjoy it. And actually, I wish they would have done this one in October. You know, kind of a Halloween one. I thought that would have been kind of cool, you know, but they stuck in like this week. Of all weeks not to have a zombie episode. I didn't like that.
So how many of these would we say are dark now? There's at least I think
only been two that have been positive now.
Yeah.
So the rest have been super dark. So and they're getting progressively darker. So I'm just expecting the devil to pop up and like
he may
the witch to just be like joining up with the devil, and then they just got to take over a planet. I mean, it's just getting ridiculously dark. So I'm hoping that lighten up, man. Lighten up, Marvel, please.
Got too much of the DC vibes?
Huh?
Got too much of the DC vibes?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Better lighting.
Dwayne DeMarcos, and he said that, which was funny, that it was also Scott Lang was kind of giving a Mars Attacks kind of like.
Yeah, they had heads and they sewed them onto dogs. I remember that. Yeah.
So I don't know. And he also says that maybe they'll save the darkest ones for Halloween. I mean, I don't know what's I don't know.
Get darker than the zombies. You got
they need to swing it on up. The pendulum needs to swing on back up, and I'll be happy. But that was some bullshit. But okay, let's go to the next one, which is another dark tale. Impeachment, American Crime Story by Ryan Murphy.
We were alone, me and Clinton. He'd taken it out, his business right out in the air. And then he asked me to kiss it.
What'd you do?
What happened? I did what you said. I asked Bill for a job. And he kissed me. Look at you, busy bee. What are you doing on your calendar?
Oh, I'm insane.
We asked all around the White House. No one wants you here.
What could possibly be going on?
I'm ready to write the book about my time in the White House.
I want that treacherous bitch to see what she's done to me.
Please don't listen to my calls. It's tremendously inappropriate.
All right, who wants to start off? Okay, Pat.
Well, I'll take it.
Okay. Go ahead, David.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thought this was a lot of fun. As fun as an impeachment can be.
Yeah.
You ever read? I have read the Ken Starr report cover to cover back when it first came out. So seeing this, hearing the terms Pentagon City,
Right.
where I kind of live, that brought something that I enjoyed. Some amazing makeup work again for this same series. When you think back to the folks from the OJ show and this, Linda Tripp, a horrific human being, I think, in so many ways portrayed in this so far.
Yeah.
You don't record people. You don't just, you don't record people that without their permission. I will say this though. I feel her a little bit, and this in one way. I feel her. I feel like we are connected in one way, Linda Tripp and I. And here's what I'm saying.
Oh Lord.
I too have had a wonderful desk. I've had a wonderful office. I've loved that office. I've looked out. I wasn't in the West Wing, but I looked out and I had a great window view of the White House. Now I have a slot. It's not 2 meters wide. It's not the same. It's not like the shaft. It's smaller than the shaft off of the thermally. But this was fun. I loved a lot of it. Monica Lewinsky, I think they could have found someone a little more attractive to play her.
I think she's a doll baby. Oh my God.
I think she's cute, but I think Monica Lewinsky is a lot more attractive. So, I mean, for me, that was one of the things. But I thought, and I didn't expect that. I did not know that Linda had a connection at all with Vince Foster. So I thought that was fascinating to see. But I thought this was fun. I think FX is doing a superb job with these kind of reality kind of movies. I mean, what they did for OJ was absolutely incredible. The acting, and this continues in that great tradition. Amazing makeup job for is it Lori Paulson? Is it
Sarah Paulson?
Sarah. Man, she was fantastic. She's knocking it out. By the first episode, certainly I think an Emmy consideration for her, just right off the bat, I think.
Pat, what do you think?
I would echo David on certain things. Sarah Paulson, she just loses herself in her roles.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to really struggle to see her inside Linda Tripp because she just chameleons into the leaf, it's well done so far. Casting choices so far haven't been a problem for me. What is it, Beanie Hill or whatever her name is?
Feldman, I think.
Fieldstein or something like that. Yeah,
Feldman. Yeah.
Which is Jonah Hill's half sister, by the way. She's not terrible. There's some physicality issues between her and the look of Monica Lewinsky that I'm getting through. It's not a problem. It's not that big of a deal. It's just I've seen all the pictures of Monica Lewinsky, and even at that time, she didn't look quite that way. But overall, like Dave says, they do a wonderful job. And, Sarah Paulson's got the dream job of any actress, or I would tell you, or any of the people that were in American Horror Story. New character every season, same basic working partners. We got the same group. We throw them in there. They do their thing. We're all totally different for a season, and we just change the channel and do something different. Great job. And like I said, she loses herself in that character. And so far, super happy.
And it's interesting that you guys say she loses herself because she really did. And really, there's a great Vanity Fair article that she talks about the character and the person and how now she regrets it. So, because she became so immersed in her that she then really didn't like herself. And, David and I were both here. I think you were here at the time, right? We were both here at the time. So it was electric in DC at that time for what was going on. You couldn't get away from it. Everybody was talking about it. It was crazy here in DC. And but I really like Beanie. I was like, oh, okay, I can see it because she's got those same big old eyes, and I think she's a very cute girl. And so and I think I think it's gonna be interesting because I'm not sure this whole redo of Monica Lewinsky. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, she is just not somebody I see as a victim. So it'll be interesting to see how she is, portrayed throughout this series, and the fact that she is also a producer on this and kind of oversaw. She had a lot of input into this, so I'm just it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of reframe the story for her since she's had a big role in this. So I'm interested. I wasn't too sure about the casting. I was kind of like, huh? Was Clive Owen or Clinton? I was kind of like, huh?
The most evil looking Clinton I've ever seen.
He's what?
The most evil looking
Yeah,
Clinton.
I'm like, Clive Owen, oh, he is just yummy. But I just am like, I couldn't see him at all. I could see Woody Harrelson maybe as Clinton, or some other but Clive Owen, I just can't. And Linda Tripp has got the award for the worst friend of all time. I mean, they're just the most horrible people. Now, here's a little side story. So when we moved to our place before one of our moves, we were in this townhouse community. And so, you go around meeting people and stuff. And I was a few blocks from the metro, so I would walk, and one of my neighbors would walk with me. And just coming to talk to him, he was actually an employee in the White House travel office at the time, which is in part what this whole scandal is based on, is the travel office and what was going on there. So that's just a little, had some insider.
And another quick little tidbit, Pam, I just had thought of this. I hadn't thought of this in years. Where one of the places I used to live, when the story broke, I left my home, headed to the office, and there was a news crew out there because they were waiting to see if Monica Lewinsky, they thought that she was staying with a friend of hers in the same apartment building that I was in, and so they were there filming and trying to see if anybody knew her. It was unreal. I've never seen a world where a woman would walk down the street and everyone would stop. I mean, I was at a Wizards game, and they might have even been the Bullets at that time. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We came down the steps, like everybody kind of like stopped and like watched her.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously not in a good way. There's Cindy Crawford. I mean, it was. I can't imagine being, because about the same age. I can't imagine having that level of scrutiny, and going through all of that. So it's a really wild thing to think back to the 90s. Colby Smothers? Smothers playing Ann Coulter. Wow.
Oh, is that who that was? Okay. Oh, and Ann Coulter. Oh,
yeah.
What a piece of trash. So it will, I'm sure, whatever side you fall on, it's going to generate, if they do it right, it ought to generate some emotions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, young people today don't remember what it was like back then, and the atmosphere, and kind of what the media was like, and how everything progressed, and it was something. I mean, it had long-reaching implications for throughout the federal government, throughout the nation. But yeah, interesting story. So I thought it was something that's interesting to keep watching. I thought this one was really focused on Linda Tripp. So I'm kind of wondering throughout the series how they're going to kind of tell the story. And I hope you get perspectives from, like all of the players in this. But the one person I kind of feel sorry for is Hillary Clinton. Because imagine the worst thing that could happen in your marriage being constantly brought up over and over. And then, like, it's the anniversary of the worst possible thing that could ever happen to a marriage. People talking about it, people running your name through the mud, people getting inflamed about it all over again. It was still, what a mess. So it's definitely something we're going to keep watching because it definitely ought to be interesting. And this is the first time I've watched any of the American Crime Stories. So I tried to watch the OJ one, but I didn't like it, so I stopped watching after a couple of episodes. So I'm interested to see how they do this one. So keep up. I don't know if this one's for kids either. I think
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, because it's
I mean, there were crayons. There was crayons and a piece of paper that were referenced in this, but we don't want children drawing that.
Oh no. That was hilarious. The person they got to do her
I can draw it.
Is hilarious. And their story, I want an apology and I want my husband to, what was the TV show?
Just Designing Women.
Designing Women.
I want him to have a guest role on Designing Women.
Which is hysterical because I remember that show was like a love letter to Bill Clinton almost every week. When he was elected, they toasted him at the end of the freaking show.
That was hilarious because I was like, designing what? That's what you asked for? I was like, wow.
It was a big deal back then.
It was. And it was a liberal love fest on that show.
Oh my gosh. Okay. If you haven't seen Designing Women, go back and look at it. It's very dated at this point, but it was the first big break for Jean Smart, who now is like a complete badass and has had a great career since then, more than any of the other people on that show. She's really reinvented herself and become just an incredible actress. So check it out. So definitely keep checking out Impeachment, and we will too. So as it goes on, I'm sure we'll have more discussion about it and get into some of the heavy topics that it elicits. So keep with us each week, okay?
Tune in, everybody. Tune in on this. It's a good show.
Oh my God. Okay. Moving on to this great series from FX and also from Taika Waititi. He's got another one in the works called Reservation Dogs. Let's take a little look.
I'm just saying, it doesn't scream badass, but you have to fucking buckle up before jacking a car.
Truck. Cecil said you're good thieves. Best in town. It is a small town.
Crazy. Broad daylight. Someone stole the truck. Apparently it was full of chips. Damn truck full of chips. Old lady Louise, she had her weed edibles, for cataracts, stolen right off her front porch.
I think I'm having a heart attack.
Yo, I need to call my mom. I don't feel shit.
Who steals from an old lady?
Gang was both red and blue.
Couldn't make up their minds if they want to be Bloods or Crips more. Maybe they're Blips. Or maybe they're Cruds. Hey.
Hey, Cheese. If you're gonna steal something, you gotta let me know, okay? So I can write it off on the books. Great. Thanks. It's easy as that.
want to start us off?
I love this show. I will tell you, Taika Waititi is so good at blending that comedic with pathetic at the same time. He does such a great job with it. And these characters, as you watch all the show episodes, I really care about them every single episode. You feel them. They're small enough stories that you can relate to them. They're not zombies, killing the world or something ridiculous like someone is a super assassin. These are just like dudes and girls and boys, just trying to navigate their way through a poverty-stricken system, and trying to make their best. And it's delightful. It's really good. You see the funny and the pathetic, but I love it. This to me is a 10. It's so good.
And what do you think, David?
I appreciate his storytelling, and I think this was a unique look into folks that so often I don't think get the opportunity to have their story told. I think there was some good character development. It was real. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I can't call it delightful. I think maybe I need to watch a little bit more to better appreciate it. It's well done, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and I'm with Pat. I did have to watch it a couple of times because the first time I was like, "Oh, I don't know," and then I got through it, and then I just kind of just listened to it and was doing some stuff, and then just listened to the stories, and he can blend. But one thing about him, what I most appreciate is he's bringing out indigenous stories. We don't have that. He's done it in his home country and he's doing it now. And so I have never seen a story about the native peoples, the indigenous peoples of America quite like this. And it was gritty. It was raw. You got to see just some poverty. Usually Hollywood kind of glosses over poverty, but this was showing you poverty.
They were
on a level that I haven't seen really before in TV, and especially in this community. And they were showing you different parts of the system too. You got to see the medical system. You got to see kind of what it's like to police on the system. You got to see, generational kind of things happening. So it was really a slice of life of what's going on in the indigenous peoples of the Americas. But then it's just stupid and funny too. These kids are just dumb and they're like super funny, but they're young. So their dream is to go to Hollywood, and make it. And I'm like, what? So these situations they're dealing with are similar in a lot of cultures. I could see my culture in their stories, maybe other people could see their cultures in their stories. So it's really about the effect of poverty too, and what poverty does to people, as well as a unique look into the indigenous population. But there's some crazy situations. The kids stealing the truck for the chips and then going around selling bootleg bags of chips to people.
They were hot chips, though. Come on.
They were spicy chips that made one of them so sick she had to go to the hospital.
That should have made me say the show was better than I did. That was pretty funny. You're right about that. You are.
And the uncle who buries, he forgot he buried this marijuana in his yard, and then he goes to try and sell it. They're like, "This is skunk weed now, man," and then he gets some new weed and is lost. But I did like how he in that episode was really poignant to me to talk about the generational differences and learning in terms of Indian way of learning and white people way of learning when he said, hey, we don't teach you like the white man teaches you. I'm showing you how to do it. We tell through stories. We help you learn through how we learned, we pass it on that way. And I thought that was really important too, to highlight different ways that the cultures are different. And so, I mean, there's so many funny things. I didn't know there were indigenous rap artists. I mean, I didn't know.
Greasy fry bread. Greasy fry bread.
And it was a banger. I mean, and then the little people who were super hilarious. They were hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. Are they blips or are they cruds? I just thought they were super funny. So definitely it's poignant and it's raw, but it's super funny at times too. So it's definitely challenging in the best way that great TV is challenging. So definitely check out Reservation Dogs on Hulu. And I think that's the only place it's playing. Does it come on FX, the regular FX channel?
Unsure.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, so definitely, if you can, check it out. So those were our picks this week. And before I forget, producer said, you need to start saying what's going to happen next week. So next week, we're going to look at What If and Impeachment. We're also going to look at the story, Why the Last Man. I think that's going to be super interesting, about a world when all the men die and the women are left, but up pops just one man and his pet monkey. So what do you do? So, and what happens to the world without men? And then we're also going to look at the Netflix show Paper Tigers, which is an action flick that is pretty interesting, I think. So that's it for this week. We did want to have a moment to reflect on. Today is September 11th, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And so I just want to say to all the people that remember, and we can't ever forget the lessons that we learned. And we want to make sure that people appreciate the sacrifices that people made and the lives lost, and to remember to just love one another and to be there for one another. So, anyone else?
One thing I would say, and again, Pam and I both, were in DC when this, when 9/11 took place, on what was as beautiful a Tuesday I've ever seen going to work. I live by the Pentagon, so it's not overly dramatic of me to say that my neighborhood was on fire. And what that felt like, and remembering the firemen and all the issues, so much. And there are many people, some of the people that we're working with now, Pat, I know that, you're a teacher. There are many people that you're working with in your work. They've never known anything but a post 9/11 world.
Right.
Or very close to it. Maybe they were very young. And there's so much there, and we're continuing to learn from these lessons, but be good to one another, be forgiving and tolerant of one another, but hold your liberty dear for when there is something like this that occurs. A lot of people, in the name of justice or revenge, will try to mandate certain things, and hold your liberty dear. Is one of the things I would say to this. We've had, there's been too much in 20 years of lost treasure and lost blood, and we need to kind of figure out the best ways to move on from this. And loving your neighbor is a heck of a good start.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. And I'll never forget that day. I could see the fire from the Pentagon from where we worked.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I made a plan. We worked every day and we rode the subway together. So we heard that the subway was okay. So we ran to the subway and met each other. And we were the trains were one of the few things working. People didn't realize it, but because you couldn't get out of the city because everything was so chaotic. But the metros were running. So we jumped on the metro and they had arranged for it to bypass the Pentagon because that was a metro stop. And so the trains bypassed the Pentagon, and we had met one of Tony's coworkers. And so we all got together. We didn't really, you didn't really understand what was going on. And so then we were able to bypass the Pentagon and then get home safely. We got home within probably an hour of everything happening. And so we were safe. And I have to say, that one of my best friends, Pat Huey, was one of the first people who called to see if we were okay. And we were. And so I forever remember that as really a great memory from that time. So there were several instances of love and people banding together and coming together. And so we need to remember that right now, is that, remember how much we care about one another. And another thing, don't allow racism to rear its ugly head in these times. Not everyone is a terrorist. So please don't go after our Muslim and Arabic friends out there.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, there's evil everywhere, but good conquers evil. So just remember that, people, and stay in love and stay in care, and you'll be okay. So that's it for us. And take care, hug each other, love on each other. And you know what Tabitha Brown says, have a great day, but if you cannot, don't make it bad for somebody else. Take care. Have a good night. See you next time.
See you guys.
So long, everybody.
Bye.